sticking with that fast approaching launch to the ISS, it's time now for our look through the day's papers. For that, I'm joined in the studio by Solange Mougin. Solange, a big launch coming up in exactly 2 hours' time.
Yeah, with French astronaut Thomas Pesquet already strapped in and to become the first Frenchman and first European to be blasted up by Elon Musk's SpaceX. The French press is basically going gaga about the launch. Libération calls the 43-year-old a master that's about to take off, or décoller. There's a French wordplay with maître d'école there, or school teacher. And Libération's editorial is in essence a love letter to the astronaut, as is Le Parisien's tribute, both papers essentially calling him a national hero and thanking him for basically making us look up and dream. But in comparison with all of this praise, L'Opinion has a more critical and analytical view. The paper says that while the launch is a feat, Europe, in the paper's view, is falling behind in the space race, that countries like the US and China are calling the shots, while Europe, already divided on the issue, has taken to relying on collaboration rather than leading.
And France 24 will have special coverage of that launch from 11:30 a.m. French time today. Do tune in for that if you can. Well, moving on to your next story, Solange. India is weathering its second day of the highest number of COVID cases in the world. The press trying to get to the bottom of what's behind this latest surge.
Yeah, it is the price of lowering our guard. That is how a pulmonologist who's part of the country's COVID task force puts it in an opinion piece in the Times of India. He blames in this order complacency, a new variant, a slow vaccine rollout, and potential miscalculations. It is not only devastating for India, but it will be, according to The Economist, and these are the words they use, it will be devastating to the rest of the world, namely because of the variants that are emerging, as well as the fact that India was once a major vaccine exporter and has now they need those shots at home.
Well, Solange, turning now to US President Joe Biden's climate change summit. How's the press reacting to his increased pledges to combat climate change?
Well, there's been a sigh of relief, according to the Washington Post, with the paper going through the praise of global leaders. But behind all of that relief, there is also a real trust deficit and much skepticism, or at least there should be, according to New York Magazine. The site says that historically there's been much back and forth and unfulfilled pledges, and that it is way too early to cry victory. As Herman, the illustrator for the Tribune de Genève, puts it, it is a situation that is still hard to situate. It is in his he has in his cartoon a polluting ship, wondering if it is slowing down or if the icebergs that are speeding by are just getting smaller.
Now, Solange, Biden's intelligence director has said that climate change will be at the centre of US foreign policy going forward. How's the press covering that?
Well, the New York Times is saying that this is an essential piece of the puzzle, that American dollars are propping up fossil fuel use abroad, and that the paper calls for a sea change to subsidies, trade agreements, the world, to organizations like the IMF and the World Bank, for real climate action to take place. But for now, the whole thing is has a bit of a stink to it, or at least that's according to many climate activists. According to the New York Post, it tells us how they dumped piles of cow manure on the White House, saying that Biden's plan is a bunch of bull.
Yeah, why not take it rather literally? Now, finally, Solange, you found an article about a flying object. It's not a rocket.
It is not SpaceX. It is not an asteroid. It is a turtle. You heard me right, a turtle. Huffington Post tells us that a woman in Florida was driving along when suddenly a turtle flew into her windshield and gashed her head. Now, police think that the turtle was probably crossing the road and got hit by another car, which propelled it up into the windshield. Now, this bizarre accident, well, it does have a happy ending, luckily. The woman is fine, and so is the turtle. It has a few scratches, but it has been released back into the woods. So all's well with the flying turtle.
The benefits of having a shell.
Exactly. Sometimes it's useful.
Solange Mougin with a look through the day's papers. Thank you very much.